We've got major developments in this race for the Senate seat in Maine. There are now growing calls for the Democrat Graham Platner to drop out after yet another woman accused him, this time the accusation of rape about 5 years ago. The accuser sharing the graphic details with CNN and Politico. She says Platner showed up at her home intoxicated, forced himself on her, despite her repeatedly telling him no. Platner denying the accusation, says his campaign is, quote, taking time to reflect on the best path forward.
Now, keep in mind, Democrats have stood by Platner through scandal after scandal, including the original, the Nazi tattoo. But judging by the reaction, this does appear to be a breaking point. Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and others all urging Platner to step aside. The list keeps on growing by the hour, and the deadline to replace him is coming up fast. Alexis McAdams, she has much more from our New York newsroom. Hi, Alexis. Good morning.
Good morning. That's right. And the calls for Graham Platner to drop out of Maine's Senate race are just growing louder again this morning after one woman who dated Platner, Jenny Rackacott, accused him of raping her back in 2021. She actually got on CNN last night and explained that he forced himself on her, she says, despite her repeatedly telling him to stop one night. And I want to warn you, it's graphic to watch.
So he had kind of jumped on top of me and indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature. And I remember just at first being like, hey, I'm not into this. I had recognized that he wasn't listening to me. It wasn't just that he wasn't hearing me or whatnot. And then I recognized his level of intoxication, and I knew in that moment I wasn't safe.
And Platner denies this rape allegation. As of this morning, though, he has not dropped out of the Maine Senate race, but he says he's weighing his options.
Regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
And I want to point out it's not the first time that we've heard from Rackacott. She spoke out about Platner back in June to the New York Times, but these details were not included in that report. Why? Well, she says she hesitated because she supports Platner's politics.
I understand why people want someone like him in office. And I felt like me coming forward would potentially take that away. And I felt really uncomfortable with the responsibility and the weight of my story and what that might do.
This is just the latest scandal for Platner's campaign following backlash over this chest tattoo of a Nazi symbol that he later covered up, and then also physical abuse allegations from other exes. But still, many prominent Democrats stood by Platner's side, like Bernie Sanders and Congressman Ro Khanna, until Rackacott, who was a fellow Democrat, described this alleged rape on camera. But Senator Bernie Sanders has not called for him to drop out yet. That's something we're tracking as the numbers continue to grow. If Platner does decide to withdraw, the clock is ticking because Democrats have less than a week to replace them on the November ballot. And who do they have? We're going to have to wait and see.
Alexis McAdams, thank you. We have much more now.
Okay, Mary Katharine Ham, MK, good morning to you. Just following up on Alexis' report. I want to show you a list of Democrats who are saying you should drop out now. On that list, notably not on that list, is Bernie Sanders. And you wonder just, does that dam break? And if so, when does it break? However, Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego said recently about this woman, Lindsay Fifield, who came forward with these accusations in the New York Times. I don't think her politics align with Platner's, like the current accuser. She said, mine weren't sufficiently troubling or serious for you, right? That was her response to Gallego. Why believe this charge and not the others? What's different?
Yeah, look, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure here, but I wouldn't count on Graham Platner going quietly. He's a guy who put his wife out first to respond to allegations of his sexting scandal. So he's a pretty brazen guy. I think Bernie Sanders and he might be looking to extract some conditions with the naming of a new candidate here. We'll see what happens. They didn't believe Lindsay Fifield, who I must disclose I am personally friends with and have known that this guy was bad news for many years from having heard about her experience with him, though it happened before I knew her. They didn't believe her because she is aligned with conservative politics, which sets up a pretty bad standard, which is even if you have evidence and contemporaneous reports, it's okay for a man to hang around in D.C. for years and abuse just Republican women because their accusations can never be substantiated, ? But now that they have a liberal woman on the record, who, by the way, extremely brave to speak out in this graphic way. She had told the New York Times some of this. If you read the New York Times account closely, you could tell that in the ellipses there was something very bad going on that night after which she cut contact with him entirely. And I think her going to Politico was partly because she saw Lindsay be attacked for having come forward, and she got ticked off that this was the response to true allegations that, by the way, show a modus operandi for this guy over 10 years of being violent behind closed doors, of crossing a bunch of boundaries in scary ways when he's drunk with women. That was the complaint. It's a through line for the two of them, and there's a third woman who also had concerns about him, who was not named in that original report.
The headlines from the New York Times back a few weeks ago. New York Times. Several women who dated Graham Platner recall unsettling behavior. And here's a Politico one just about a month later. Woman who dated Graham Platner says he sexually assaulted her. I listened to Politico this morning, and they were talking about what they did in order to corroborate the story. When women come forward, they have to put forward that, yes, I talked to a therapist. I talked to my friends. Here's their information. Here's their contemporaneous notes. But the big difference, as you point out, is that Lindsay was considered to be not important enough to worry about because she was partisan and she was conservative. It's pretty gross. And Ruthless co-host Josh Holmes wrote this: a guy walks into a race with a Nazi tattoo, and it was the third sexual assault allegation that concerned them. For today's Democrat Party, the problem isn't an alleged rapist. It's an alleged rapist who can't win. And perhaps that's why you have those other Democrats now saying he should pull out, but maybe Bernie Sanders thinks he still could win.
Yeah, I mean, there will be people who think he can still win. They weren't willing to abandon him over the Nazi tattoo. I had this discussion with Jon Favreau online a month or two ago and said, I don't know, I think a Nazi tattoo is a pretty good heuristic for a guy who is extremely bad and has bad judgment and probably pretty dumb, and he should not be running as a Senate candidate. And he refuted that. Okay, so now we have this new information, which, by the way, the New York Times was given information to corroborate some of these things and chose not to call some of those people, which then Politico did. These women have, they are named accusers. They have some contemporaneous notes or notes before this person became famous or was running for Senate. There are physical details that you can corroborate that these people dated or were involved. And he has an MO. I think this is a pretty credible situation, and they may start backing away now because they have just enough time to name another candidate before this goes forward.
It's kind of a funky law in the state of Maine. I don't know how many others have it, but he can get out on the 13th of July, and the party then can appoint who they want to run. Funky stuff, they call democracy. MK, thanks for coming on today, and we'll see what happens next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary Katharine Ham. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.